Welcome to How We Heard It, the podcast about music, pop culture, movies, and more, with your hosts Wayne Bledsoe and Chuck Campbell.
Hola Po, this is Chuck Campbell with
Wayne Bledsoe, and
I'm John Baker. What language did we learn today?
Well, so that's actually how you would say hi in Chile, which of course they use Spanish, so that's where hola comes from. But they throw in the word po, which is like a Chilean filler word, as they call it, a word that doesn't really mean anything, but just you kind of throw it in for accent or familiarity or whatever.
It's like brah.
Brah, yeah. Yeah, brah.
brah. I hate brah. Always hated that.
So today we are going to look at controversial artists. And Wayne, this was your topic.
Right.
So I took a note. It says, a lot about whether someone's controversial or not is what you think of them, and if you really like them, you defend them all the time. And if you don't like them in the least bit, then they're infinitely controversial for anything they say or do.
Well, the ones I chose are the ones who really stirred things up. And some of those became like the biggest stars we have. I mean, the Beatles were very controversial when they came out.
Okay.
People dismissed them as like, this silly rock band. And then John Lennon says, we're more popular than Jesus.
Right.
And everybody starts burning their albums.
Right.
And then, you had Elvis, who was very controversial because he was singing black music for white audiences and twisting his hips and doing the whole thing and, really like bringing sexuality into your living room where it had not been. And
on Ed Sullivan, they wouldn't film him from the waist down.
Right.
Or they wouldn't show it. They filmed him from the waist up.
Yeah.
So that his swiveling hips would make it into impressionable minds.
Yeah, but he'd just been on the Steve Allen. Well, of course, the Steve Allen show, I think they showed him his full body, but then when he did Hound Dog, they had this silly thing where they had him singing to a basset hound. But people forget, there were church sermons preached against him. There were, people that were they were burning his albums too. They were talking about how he was a
Devil's rock and roll.
Devil's rock and roll, a threat to youth. And then Jerry Lee Lewis comes along and marries his 13-year-old cousin.
Yeah, I noticed there are a lot of different standards and how a lot of things have changed. That stuff that was controversial, years ago just seems quaint now, But one thing I did notice is that, I told you there was like this master list of all the indiscretions that every celebrity has ever committed. And one thing that just comes up over and over and again are the old rockers being violent with women and sleeping with underage women. With underage. And that seems like it's more controversial now than it was then. And I know you had said that, I guess, people married younger back then, so it wasn't such a scandal. But a lot of that just wouldn't fly in the least today,
Well, one of the things that both Steven Tyler from Aerosmith and Ted Nugent did is get guardianship of the underage girls that they wanted to be with.
Oh, man.
Oh, man, that's creepy.
It is creepy. I think Steven Tyler married the girl, but I know Ted Nugent did. But I think he was accused,
I guess, of grooming underage more than just one.
Oh, yeah.
Steven Tyler was grooming underage,
great moral guy.
Yeah.
But I don't know any of these great 60s, 70s rock stars who probably didn't sleep with somebody underage back then. Right. That was like the groupies just showed up. They were kind of there, and I don't think people were checking IDs.
Yeah. Right. Well, and you mentioned Jerry Lee Lewis. It's very credible that he killed two of his wives.
There's a lot of people who think that. There's a lot of stuff out there about that. So, he stayed controversial. Yeah. What's interesting about Jerry Lee is, the big scandal broke first because he hadn't gotten divorced from his former wife before he married his cousin. And then, everybody, and it's funny because nobody had paid that much attention. He goes to Europe, he goes to England, and that's when it becomes a scandal because they realize, oh, this is his 13-year-old cousin.
Right.
And then
he's an incestuous pedophile.
Right, and he comes back and his career's pretty much over.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, shouldn't it be? I mean, we're going to worry about Elvis's hips and everything and Beatles making a joke about being bigger than Jesus, but you got people literally, I mean, that's statutory rape, whether you ever marry them or not, I guess, if they're 13.
13, I mean, it's funny, when you go back and look through history and you look at marrying ages like in 1900.
Right.
I mean, 14, 15, that's not an unusual thing.
Right.
I think 13 still stretches it.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how far back you go, just about.
You're almost getting to prepubescent.
You're getting close. Yeah.
That's a kid.
That's literally, in all respects, a kid. So,
but, Chuck Berry got arrested for, gosh, I can't remember what the law is called, but transporting an underage girl across state lines.
It's the Mann Act.
Yeah, the Mann Act. That's right. And, I mean, this thing was very common back then.
Right. Chuck Berry was a creep, too.
Oh, Chuck Berry filmed...
He filmed people in his bathroom of his club. Filmed women.
Gosh. Well, now we got R. Kelly in jail, so that's changed. P. Diddy, he kind of got a break. He wasn't acquitted, this year when he was up on all kinds of sex trafficking charges and everything. He got a couple of minor convictions of like trafficking prostitutes, but as far as all the major accusations they had against him, he was acquitted on all those.
Yeah, well, he still doesn't. He was in for
2
years.
But it was looking like he could be in jail as long as R. Kelly's doomed. So.
But I think it was 2 years with time served, so he didn't really have that much longer to go.
Right. So he kind of skated by there.
Yeah.
Well, violence, that's I guess the elephant in the room to illustrate how controversial they seem or don't seem is Michael Jackson.
Right.
And he technically wasn't convicted of anything.
Right.
There was some settling out of court. There was some acquittals. And what he was accused of was highly disturbing stuff. But at the same time, Michael Jackson was absolutely beloved, and he was like a Disney character or something. And he was kind of sexless, really, even though he'd grab his crotch and everything. It just didn't. I mean, you know what I mean? It didn't seem like there was anything legitimate about it.
He had such a childlike persona,
right? And many people have just decided, well, guilty, and innocent until proven guilty, and he wasn't proven guilty, so they're just giving him a giant pass. And then other people are just like,
So I liked Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5, and I think he was very talented.
Yeah,
but I always got that vibe.
Yeah.
And when somebody tells you their best friend is a 10-year-old and a monkey,
there's warning flag.
Yeah, there's some red flags going up there.
Yeah.
So, and then when you watch the Finding Neverland thing that Oprah put on with two of his victims or two of his possible victims, or, they say they're victims, I believed them.
Yeah. It's just, I guess, it's just really hard to define either he's like one of the most controversial ever or he was just a victim of false accusations, So it can be dicey, and that's the way it goes with a lot of people. I've got examples from today and what counts as controversial today too. So I don't know. I can go in any direction you want to pivot.
Well, why don't we come back to like the sexual and the violence ones and go through to some of the folks that
just did weird stuff?
Yeah. Okay. And I have a list. There's so many people we talked about already that are super popular, and there's a few more.
Right.
But then you've got, I think, sort of the king of shock was Gigi Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Gigi Allen was a punk rocker, sort of.
How well known was Gigi Allen?
His music was not well known at all.
Okay.
What he did became well known and notorious. He played here in Knoxville, at what was then, I think, the Orpheus.
Okay.
I think it was the Orpheus then.
I was living in Memphis then, but I've got a story to tell too.
Okay, but he knocked out a fella's teeth. He did his usual thing of taking a dump on stage, and I don't know if he flung it at people or not, but that's one of the things he did. He would insert things up into his body, and then he would defecate on stage and fling it at the audience sometimes.
Okay. That's entertainment.
That's entertainment. I was,
What a fun time.
I absolutely said, I am not going to review this show. I am not going
to be there.
Whatever happens, I am not going.
It's up to everybody else to deal with.
But
my wife and I went out to dinner one night when we lived in Memphis, and we lived just 2 blocks away from the famous Antenna Club, which was a famous punk, just rock club in general. It was just 2 blocks away, and we had to go right in front of it to get to our house. And when we came by, there were people all out into the street, and that's on Poplar Avenue. It's like Kingston Pike. It's like a big 4-lane road, and there were people standing in the streets, and like, what? And the next day I found out that that's what G.G. Allen had been there that night, and I knew the owner of the club because my band played there all the time, and he told me afterwards. He said his manager came up and said, "Give him the cheapest mic you've got, and we're going to buy it from you because you're not going to want it back." And he did just what you said, and was throwing his poo on the crowd, and everybody revolted and ran out. And
Well, what was the purpose of that? I mean, artistically speaking,
he was mentally ill. He was very mentally ill. There's a good documentary on him, and I think there is a clip from that show in Knoxville in that. And they I don't think they actually mention Knoxville, but they talk about the things that happened here. But yeah, he was a fellow who had severe mental illness.
Okay.
combined with addictive drug use.
Right, which I think was all part of it. You know, his name was, his father was basically crazy, named him Jesus Christ.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
And his little brother Merle called him Gigi.
Okay.
And that's how he got Gigi instead of Jesus Christ Allen. But it sounds like he was just abused and became, you know...
It's really sad.
Yeah, it's a really sad story. He was angry and violent, and this was how he saw life.
Okay.
And he OD'd.
He claimed he was going to OD on stage.
Yeah.
He didn't, but...
Yeah, but I mean, he was
His final disappointment.
Yeah.
As far as shock goes, I don't know anybody that's more shocking. I mean, there were people. We start.
But I guess, but you know,
Well,
how
he's-
controversial is it? Because it seems like everyone's going to be shocked. You know, I mean, how many people were?
But that's
like,
genuinely shocking. There's
Yeah.
Alice Cooper shocking,
Right.
which you just like, well, I mean,
stage shock.
yeah, I mean, he's apparently when you talk to him, he's the nicest guy in the
Oh,
world.
Alice is terrific. And
Same with Iggy Pop.
Yeah. I mean, both of them. But Alice, you know, it was a shtick. They realized, oh, this is something we can do, and it was fun. I mean, it was like
I've seen him. He's fun.
But they got banned in England because the album $1 Billion Babies has I Love the Dead, which is about necrophilia, but it's like a movie that has necrophilia in it or something. I mean, it's not like Alice Cooper is endorsing this.
Right.
But it was shocked like a horror movie.
Right.
And, you know, they were very controversial when they came to town here. I mean, people would always talk about, well, he's gonna feed his boa constrictor a live snake or a live chicken on stage, and there was truth at a show in Toronto, I think Toronto or Montreal, but somebody threw a chicken on stage and they threw it back into the crowd, and the crowd like tore this poor chicken to pieces.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was like the publicity that kept giving to Alice Cooper. And then, I mean, I think sort of the next to try something quite so shocking was Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
And when Marilyn Manson came out, I mean, it was...
Well, aren't Marilyn Manson and Alice Cooper both like conservative now or something?
I don't know. I mean, Marilyn Manson is... been accused of all sorts of abuse, physical and sexual abuse, and I mean, I hate to even lump him into the same category because Alice is such a nice
they're both
guy.
like shock rock types, but I mean, they had different
I think
personal lives, I guess.
I think Alice is conservative, but he's not nutty conservative.
Okay.
And Alice is real. Like his whole thing is totally camp. I mean, he knows it's a joke. Everybody knows it's a joke, but it's fun.
Right.
Whereas, you know, Marilyn Manson, I don't think that's camp. I think he's just trying to be outrageous.
Yeah. But with Alice, I mean, Alice is like, he's like the son of a minister. And he goes out and he like feeds the homeless, and he has all sorts of great charitable things. And I mean, he is a super nice, kind, good guy. And if you watch interviews with people who played in his bands, they love him, and he's always supporting them. And
well, so is he controversial?
He was extremely controversial.
Okay,
because like I said, they banned him in England when $1 Billion Babies came out.
Right.
And at the time, I mean, I was a kid when he played in Knoxville, and I mean, it was a big deal. He was like, "Oh, this is a scary act," and you know, you get people saying nobody should go see this. And so, yeah, he was very controversial at that time.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say that the most controversial ones we have today. I mean, I would lead with Kanye West,
right?
You know, and we did an episode 2 or 3 weeks ago about the feuds, music feuds and everything. And there are some people who just, you know, they think of themselves as provocateurs, and they'll say anything about anybody all the time and just constantly keep people offended. And it feeds something in them,
right?
Which, you know, that could be some kind of mental, you know, it could be some kind of disorder or something.
I think he's bipolar. He acts bipolar.
He could be. You know, I don't want to do any diagnosis, but he's certainly, like, I think the most controversial active person we have, just because he will say anything and do anything to anybody and everybody, including
putting swastikas on his website and things like that.
Yeah. And I've mentioned her before. Most people don't know her, but Azalea Banks, she's like his counterpart. She's just not as popular, but I was reading off a list when we were talking about feuds, and I named like 40 out of 120 celebrities that she's insulted, and it's virtually every performer of today and politician and different countries and just everything. She's just attacked and attacked and attacked. And I think she's doing that. She had like one legitimate hit called 212. I think it's a great song, but she's a rapper. And then she's really not had much other hits. So she just thrives on, you know, being an instigator. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you bring her up, and you think about how controversial Eminem was when Eminem started.
Yeah, I was going to say Eminem. He was controversial in more controlled way, like in lyrics, you know, and since social media wasn't really a thing when he got started.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was very, of course, talking about killing his wife and very misogynistic and homophobic and all that stuff in his lyrics. But then at the same time, then he would turn around and do a song with Elton John, you know, and stuff like that. So it seemed to be more of a stage kind of controversy. And he's, despite all of his misogyny and everything, he seems to be actually a great father and loves his daughter. And so, you know, he sends mixed messages. So I think that makes him almost more controversial, because it just depends on where you fall on the Eminem scale. Kanye is like off-putting to most people, I think, you know, and Eminem is like, it just depends on how much you want to buy into his stage persona and how you reconcile that with, you know, who he is. Same with Nicki Minaj. I think she's a lot like Eminem too. You know, she'll say spicy things about a lot of people, but you see a lot of goodness in her, and you know, and getting along with people. So it's like, I don't know whether to really buy that she's as mean as she can come across.
Well, it's interesting to me that Eminem starts out controversial, and by now it's like, it's Eminem.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I didn't like Eminem when he first started, and I was offended by how misogynistic he was. And, you know, when my oldest son wanted to buy or was going to get his album, it was like, well, you're going to spend your own money because I'm not going to buy it for you. And he did. But then Kanye is basically the opposite, other than when he said George Bush doesn't care about people, black people, or whatever it was.
Yeah. That's what, like Azalea Banks, his counterpart, she's the same way. She'll say, crazy thing, crazy thing, crazy thing, then, oh, yeah, of course. And then crazy thing, she's just all over the map. And that's like Kanye, too.
But Kanye first really got recognized for his music and was not that controversial at the outset.
Right.
And then just went
off his meds.
Well, they say it had something to do with his mother dying. And it's been linked to his mother's death, kind of sent him off. And it's like, okay, that was over a decade ago now. Are we still, you know, riding that as the excuse? And I think the thing with Eminem, you know, for me, because I was trying to review all this stuff, it was like, he was controversial, but no more so than gangster rap in general, and I was used to hearing a lot of the things he was saying from, rappers of color and everything. But of course, Eminem reached a new audience, reached a lot of white kids and everything who weren't really tuned into gangster rap. So.
Well, remember the rap song, the rap group that really got people stirred up?
Two Live Crew.
Two Live Crew.
Yeah.
And they were filthy, but they were funny.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like how they were funny, and it was all sex, and it wasn't,
killing cops.
There weren't gunfire on every track,
and that's Ice-T. I mean, Ice-T with
there were a lot of gangster rappers.
And now he plays a cop on television.
Yeah, which I've always thought was crazy irony.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, with Two Live Crew, I mean, they got hang on, excuse me, they get arrested, or Luther gets arrested.
Right. Luther Campbell, no relation.
And because their album was deemed obscene, and the ACLU and everybody else, they fight that. I can't remember. I think finally they got exonerated, or he got exonerated.
Was that in the midst of the PMRC Tipper Gore?
Yeah,
Music Resource Center. Yep, Tipper Gore.
And
she was going after Prince.
Yeah, well, Prince is the one who started it.
Yeah,
but
and he had the song Controversy.
Yeah,
but But all things considered, I don't think Prince was particularly controversial.
I think he wanted to be.
Yeah,
well, I think he was when he came out. I mean, Tipper Gore made him more controversial because of Darling Nikki.
Right.
On that, it was one line,
masturbating with a magazine.
Yeah,
yeah. It's just so weird. Like I say, that when you look back at what was and wasn't controversial, and I don't know how the pedophilia of old time rockers could ever be whitewashed, but then we just turned and it's like, oh, Madonna's wearing a cone bra, like, oh, controversy. It's like, really?
Well, let's talk about Madonna for a minute too.
Madonna. Yeah.
Because I think everything she did in her entire life was intentional.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's still alive.
Performative.
Well, I know she is still alive, but I'm just saying.
There's an album coming out next year, I think.
Up to, I don't know. I don't know what all she's doing right now exactly, but
trying to stay relevant.
Yeah. First, she pisses off the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
But what was
Papa Don't Preach?
Yes, Papa Don't Preach. That was the album.
And then Like a Prayer.
The Like a Prayer.
The Like a Prayer video had her. And this was, I remember, and this was the kind of thing you might hear in the 80s, but there was a statue, a black man in a religious iconic type statue that she starts kissing and stuff. And I think it got as much pushback because he was black as because he was a religious icon. And it's nowadays you don't even think about mixed race marriages or anything.
Well, there's certain people who are again.
Yeah, well, yeah, but we won't go into them. But it's just like I say, a lot of things. I think the sex book that she did, the high sexual phase that she did, she was just exploring sex. And it's I don't know, other than there's this old standby argument. It's and people make that about Taylor Swift today. She's 35, 36, right? And people still say, oh, you've got all these young girls listening to your music. It's probably not as many young girls as you think. And do you expect someone in their mid-30s to continue to make music
for 18-year-olds?
Yeah, thinking this is for junior high and high school girls. No, it's
And she was one who, I always bring her up. I took my daughter to Taylor Swift shows, and she did not just court controversy. She did not, play on her sexuality.
No.
And I have all the admiration in the world for the way she ran her career and still runs her career.
Well, she's trying to follow the Dolly Parton model, which is the perfect model of maintaining the broadest fan base possible. Dolly knows that some of her fans would absolutely hate other fans of hers.
I've been in those
audiences.
They all
know that about each other. And they all know that, okay, they probably like Dolly too, but we all like Dolly. And it's kind of I'm like this with dogs. If I see someone, on social media, and I think, oh, I don't like what they're saying, and I'll go look and they're holding a dog. I'm like, oh, cool. Well,
Hitler liked dogs too.
I guess I'll just relate to your dog, and I'm not going to worry about whatever you're saying or anything that's upsetting. But Dolly has been able to maintain that. I don't know if it's possible anymore because there's so much agitation with social media and so many people.
Well, there's just so many sources of information now.
Right. Yeah. And there's just so much trying to drag people out into everything and just trying to force controversy.
Dolly can, because there was a podcaster, I can't remember the name, who just not long ago wrote something about Dolly and her support of gay and trans people,
right,
and tried to attack her, and that person wrote an apology the next week.
There you go.
Because you don't mess with Dolly, because everybody loves Dolly, and for good reason.
Right, and she just has this no nonsense, just kind of like, well, don't all people deserve to be happy?
Exactly,
or something like that. Now, how are you going to argue that? You
Yeah.
feel like a chump if you fight with her. So, and I do think that Taylor Swift and others, have tried to model that, like, stay neutral as much as they can. And Taylor Swift tried for the longest time, and then she became seen as a right-wing icon because people were assuming that because she wasn't saying anything political, then, she must be, right-wing, and she wasn't saying anything. So finally she started coming out with it. Yeah, and they got highly disappointed because she was, she was all for Kamala and stuff like that. But
I think
I think she would rather not, and really, I think most of them would rather not be drug into any of that. So,
well, I mean, there were some. I mean, when you look at country music, I always look at Loretta Lynn.
Yeah,
and Loretta, when she came out, she was very controversial for a long time because her songs were so sexual and so pro-women's rights, even though she would never call herself a feminist.
Right.
But Don't Come Home A-Drinkin' with Lovin' on Your Mind, I still say is the first feminist hit.
Right.
And
The Pill.
And then she comes out with The Pill, which is,
You ain't woman enough to take my man.
Yeah. And Fist City.
Fist City.
But The Pill is the one that radio stations banned.
Yeah. Well, it made it that much more. It's the Barbra Streisand effect.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
No, let's hear this.
Well, it was on a podcast, and there was a company that was mapping the entire West Coast, photographically, and Barbra Streisand would not allow them to put her oceanfront property on their maps, and it just made people come more and more and more to come look for it. And it was on the Cocaine and Rhinestones episode about The Pill, but he starts off by talking about the Barbra Streisand effect, and because it got banned, it became controversial, and everybody went out and bought it.
Yeah, but the thing about Loretta is, Loretta was just being Loretta. I don't think it was that calculated,
right? But
she had to know. But I think she created this, and it was like, well, I'm going to put it out anyway.
Right.
She's a lot like Dolly in just, this is who I am, and this is my art, and, live with it.
I think today, when I was saying that it's fine, people find it harder and harder to navigate away from controversy. Mm-hmm. Some of the most controversial people today, one, of course, is Morgan Wallen, who is from Knoxville area, and one of the biggest country performer right now, one of the biggest selling people of the century. And it started with him. There was some candid video of him using the N-word to a white friend, I believe. It was a white friend. Was. And he did it in an endearing way, but he was using the N-word.
Yeah.
And of course, that's verboten, right? And I think for Morgan, and there are a substantial number of young white kids who love hip-hop music, and he loves it, and he loves rap music, and they feel like that's their culture, and that they're part of that culture, and that they can use it, and it's like, no, you can't.
No.
But it depends on who you're talking to, as to like how horrible that is. And he did the right things to start with, because he canceled his whatever tour he was on. He was like, his sales were going way up, and he disappeared, and he met with a lot of black artists and was, making an apology tour. And they're like, okay, he just likes rap music, but he's one of those dumb white, people who think that they can use that too, because, they transcend race, and these are their people. And it's like, that's not it.
Right.
But, he was able to navigate his way back into and then he was even bigger. And I think partly because white racists were like, oh, this guy's,
he's ours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
that really wasn't the message he was sending across, but that's what they glommed on to.
Yeah. And as soon as that happened and it became a controversial thing, his album sales or his music sales skyrocketed.
Right.
I mean, he was already doing really well.
He was, yeah.
But that helped push him just over the edge to become the biggest thing out there.
Right.
And I mean, that's the thing that's one of those things that because I don't think he's really a racist. I agree with you. I think he is probably.
He's naive enough to think that he can use these words that you're just not supposed to use. And
right.
Many black people don't want anyone to use
right.
either.
That wasn't the only controversy of his,
because
was it?
so he got back into this footing and everything, and then he was drunk in Nashville and throwing furniture, a chair or something, off the top of a hotel, and almost hit some cops. And it's like, okay, well, he's a drunken party guy. And was he trying to hit cops, or was he just not thinking? But anyway, he didn't need that. And then he turned around and just got kind of he was on Saturday Night Live, and he was scheduled to be on Saturday Night Live during his first controversy, and they canceled him.
Right.
But then they brought him back, and he came and he performed, and he just walked off stage during the closing credits.
Right.
And supposedly, I don't know if this happened or not, but he said something like he wants to get back to the real America.
No,
I don't even know if that was true.
No, he tweeted, and there was a picture of it. He has a picture of the plane he was going on that said, "Get me back to God's country."
God's country,
right?
Which a lot of people call it. It's like,
and that's his plane leaving New York,
right?
Oh, okay.
At some point you want to stop just making excuses for everything that rubs you a little wrong. But at the other hand, I actually read a thoughtful piece from LA Times or something like that, and they were examining Morgan Wallen and saying, is this really anything he welcomes? Because there are far more political, like Jason Aldean. There are country artists who are very much political, and they were saying, should we just accept him as this good old boy that likes to have fun, and he's not really political? And they said something like, Bill Lee, the Tennessee governor, had his picture made with Morgan Wallen, and Bill Lee posted it, but Morgan Wallen didn't, and it's like, maybe we should just leave him alone. And it was interesting because it was from I don't remember who it was, but it's kind of a lefty type person saying, don't spend too much time worrying about Morgan Wallen because he's not actively, like I say, being a Jason Aldean or whatever.
Right.
And it's kind of like that goes back to Snoop Dogg, it's like this is a more recent thing, but Snoop Dogg, a couple of months ago, there was a cartoon movie that had two women who were married, or they were a couple in it. And it was a thing aimed at children. And he said something like, that scared me. I thought, how am I going to explain this to my grandkid? He's got a granddaughter or something like that. And people were like, what are you talking about? And he backtracked, and he's like, oh, but, it was just like he made this little joke. I was like, I'm going to explain two women kissing to my granddaughter. And it's like, you got to take things into context. He's in his mid-50s, so he's not from a time where they just automatically knew how to process things for their children or grandchildren, He's got a history of being, very pro-people, the nice stoner guy, even though he came from gangster rap, But all that you know about him, all the signs about him, are that he's a pretty agreeable person and live and let live type person. And he immediately went and worked with a big LGBTQ group, and he's wrote a song with a gay songwriter, and it's called Love is Love, and it's all about how all families are, and he immediately turned the corner. It's like, I'm kind of old and maybe stone-brained, and all that stuff. And I realized that what I said was stupid, but you got to give people a break to make amends, and he did so immediately.
Yeah, well, I think that's good. And I'm sorry, I don't think it's that hard to explain. I mean,
no, it's not.
I had 3 kids.
Right.
My late wife explained it to my oldest.
Right.
When there's a Mike Nesmith song, "Cruisin'," that was a big hit on MTV. And it has a line, but they were trying to figure out if he was gay. And so my son Andrew, who was probably 8, 9 at the time, said, and we're driving along, he says, "What's that mean? What does it mean, gay?" And my late wife said, "Well, that's kind of like when 2 men or 2 girls feel the same way about each other that your dad and I feel about each other." Which, I mean, that's not exactly it,
right.
but it's...
But a kid's going to hear that and go, oh, okay.
And understand it.
Right.
I mean, understand that part of it. You don't have to get through... I mean, of course, we were open with our kids, and my kids knew things long before other kids did, because if they asked me a question or asked us a question, we always gave them an honest answer.
Well, and the thing about Snoop, it was a dumb thing to say,
right?
But it wasn't like from some deep-held hatred campaign, or he just said something stupid, and he realized it, and he did something about it right away.
Made it better.
Yeah, and I saw some people, still attacking him, like, oh, well, he doesn't mean it, and blah blah. It's like, I think the LGBTQ group has a lot more to worry about than Snoop Dogg.
Exactly, I agree too.
It's like he's pretty much an ally, so maybe find the ones who are like literally trying to take your rights away and put you in camps.
But that's part of the problem with the culture right now is no one ever accepts an apology.
Right.
Yeah. And there are so many people out there who say one thing and then try to take it back and try to say, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. But the people who attack them never stop.
Yeah.
It's like...
Once you're on the list, you're on the list.
Right.
You're not going to let go.
And that goes for both sides.
A lot of people did like, oh, cool. We're good, Snoop. Don't worry about it. So,
but there's a contingent of people on either side that if you do this one thing, any one thing, you're forever tarnished.
Yeah.
And it's like, to me, it's like, no, these people are really kind of even better because they publicly learned a lesson and admitted it and apologized.
And going back to LGBTQ. There have been some artists who have been trying to define who they are, and that's kind of the process now. And younger people, like college age or whatever, they're like trying to figure out what they're interested in and how they self-identify. They spend more time on it than we did when we were that age, than people used to. And like Demi Lovato came out and... I think she said she was non-binary,
right?
And then she was using the they/them pronouns, and then like a year or two later, she went back to she, her.
Right?
JoJo Siwa, I don't know if she's not a major hit. She's kind of a weird anomaly, but she's like this cutesy pop star.
Right.
But she suddenly came out and said she was lesbian and all this stuff, and that she was going to do lesbian pop. Not like she was so naive to not know. Oh, well, there have been all kinds of lesbians.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Long before you came around, JoJo. But anyway, she has this kind of naivete and everything. And then she was going to headline a Pride event, and she got a boyfriend. So she canceled the Pride thing, and she said, I don't think people can accept me now. Same thing with a couple of guys. David Archuleta, he was like a big one on The Voice or American Idol. Anyway, he came out and said, people were wondering. He said, "Oh yeah, I'm gay and everything." Well, then he's backtracked and said, "I'm still up for women too." It's almost like, is he or is he backpedaling or what? And then one more is Shawn Mendes, and Shawn Mendes was presented as like the hot boy singer,
right?
And he was dating Camila Cabello and maybe also Sabrina Carpenter and maybe both of them at the same time and like a real Lothario or whatever, but. And then he said he's going on a very complicated journey to explore his sexuality. But then he had to turn around and say, well, doesn't mean I'm ruling women out or anything. But I think legitimately in all these cases, that's where we are in the world now. And there's more knowledge about different ways to define yourself and accept yourself and that. But nobody wants to give them a chance. So all of them get intense. Oh, wait, are you a lesbian? Are you bi? Are you non-binary?
Well,
what pronoun? It's like it's an evolving process. I think it brings. I'm not sure if this is exactly what gender fluid means, but it kind of just means, just roll with whatever. It's not your concern. Just whatever. Just accept it, and whoever they're dating, fine, good for them, and whatever they identify as.
Well, I mean, I remember when Ani DeFranco.
Yeah.
Started dating. I don't remember if she got married but she started going out with a guy.
Yeah.
And of course,
there were a lot of mad people because she had been identified as a lesbian for so long, and suddenly she's dating a guy.
Right. And it was like that was a big controversial thing that she's dating a guy.
Well, and I mean, you remember, it used to be it'd take a George Michael type controversy to pull someone out of the closet, so he's even though it seemed right there.
Oh,
for
yeah.
a lot of people,
Yeah,
it's like,
give me a break.
okay,
It's like
know
Freddie
that?
Mercury.
okay,
Come on.
Yeah, but that did make me think. I mean, of course, George Michael was busted for having sex in public, and
Right.
and and then he had to come out, and you're just like a big, complicated, rough process. And of course, that the whole experience just spoiled him with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But with the Freddie Mercurys and the Elton Johns and the David Bowies and everything, it seems like long ago that seemed less of a problem than it became.
Yeah, well,
in the 80s.
Well, I think now there's so many variations and choices, but everybody wants to be in a box, and it's like,
Is that what the B stands for?
yeah. But
Box, binary, bi.
right, but it's like,
I'm into boxes.
I think when Bowie came out, of course, everybody thought Bowie was gay, but Bowie, said that he was bi.
Right.
Way back when nobody said that.
Right.
And go ahead.
I'm just saying that. I mean, you bring it up like what I think of as one of the more controversial artists, and he did it on purpose.
He did it on purpose, but the thing about Bowie was even though it's like he knew this is all theatrical and everything, I think there was something out there that he was putting out something that not just to be controversial.
Oh yeah, I think there was substance behind what he did.
Yeah.
But I think he also enjoyed being outrageous.
Oh yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too.
He kind of lived for outrage.
And, Madonna did that too.
Yeah, well, I've drawn those parallels before too. They're
she
very
came
similar.
out as bi, and I think it was Sandra Bernhard when she supposedly dating her for a while.
Well, I think Sandra Bernhardt's in the movie, that Madonna movie. She's
Truth or Dare.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and in Madonna, I think her relationship with Sean Penn, and did he beat her or not beat her, and all
Right.
that. There's just a lot of things going on with Madonna, and some of it was she was seeking, to be cutting edge, or and then some of it was just stuff that happened to her, and she couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah. But as far as the people who do, the whole sexuality thing, I mean, like, think about Miley Cyrus. I think.
Yeah, I was going to bring her up.
I think they're just figuring out who. I think you said that earlier. I think they're just figuring out who they are to some extent, but they're doing it on stage. I mean, part of their art is their life.
Right, and she was like, a lot of so many of these stars today were Disney stars, so they were kids, and they were packaged as little straight kids, for G-rated whatever, and then they start exploring who they are and everything, and maybe it takes a while for some people to figure it out. So all these other artists, kind of moving the needle left and right, and it's just like, just whatever. I mean,
I think part of this too, though. I mean. I think there is so much pressure now on kids or young people to be this or that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of infuriating. I mean, take some time and just experiment and figure out who you are.
Well, like I say, people our age, you weren't even told, you just were. This is what, so there was no time or allowance made for any kind of exploration. And now young people, they just accept it and explore it, and there are people my age and my family who've got friends who've been, gone through the gamut of possible self-identities. And it's like, okay.
What's the thing? I mean, trans is such a big thing right now. And I mean, I think it's one of those situations where in some cases, I think that people have gotten been fed such a narrow view of what male and female is.
Right.
That if somebody thinks, oh, well, I'm a guy attracted to guys, but I grew up in this really repressive place, well, I must be trans because I can't just possibly be gay.
Right.
And I think that sort of stuff, I watched a documentary one time on people who were transitioning, and this is a long while back, and man, it's one of the most heartbreaking things I ever saw, because there was this guy, and he had decided that he was trans. And on the operating table, he's under anesthesia. It's just kicked in. And as it's kicking in, he realizes, no, I'm not. And he was about to get the operation.
Right.
Oh, man.
And then afterwards, he realized, no, I'm just a guy. And he's spent the rest of his life mutilated.
Right.
His name wasn't Hedwig, was it?
No, but that's a similar thing.
It's a great movie, by the way.
I still got to watch it. But
have you not seen it?
no, we talked about this one time. It's one of those movies that I've always meant to see, and whenever it came out, it was like I couldn't go see it, and it's like I've never wound up seeing it. But I don't know.
I got one more who now identifies, I think, as a lesbian. That's Chapel Roan, and boy, she's been, she's controversial,
right?
And I think it was just because she wasn't ready to hit as big as she did. And
she went
hit
her hard.
Nobody knowing her to all of a sudden she's got like 10 top 10 hits, and everybody knows all of her songs, and everything blew up, and she wasn't ready for it,
right?
And she kept making like faux pas,
right.
and like I think one of the first one was. She got on social media and she said, I appreciate people like me and everything, but leave me alone. Don't follow me around. Leave my family alone. Getting kind of testy and everything. It's like, okay, she wasn't ready for this, so just chill out and everything. And then she got started picking fights with photographers, and then circling back when she saw them another time, going up to them, and they were like exchanging FUs and stuff like that. It's like, oh no, it's like dial it back. And then, of course, at the election, she was being a little cagey about who she supported and everything, and people were like, "Oh my God, are you a Trumpster?" And she was saying, "No, I would never vote for him and everything." She said, "I just can't endorse Kamala," and people were like, "Why can't you endorse Kamala?" Right? And she said, she tried explaining it, and she got madder every time she went on social media and explained it, and she was just saying that Kamala didn't go far enough. And it's like, she said, I'll effing vote for Kamala, but, she doesn't represent me either. It's just like it's better of the two options, but you all just need to, and it's just seeing her just simmer up like that. And same with Morgan Wallen. I think both of those two got to dial it down, and keep focused and learn a little lesson from Dolly, and chill out.
Well, I think it takes people a long time to figure out. I mean, I remember... I talked with Randy Travis a whole lot through the years. And when he was absolutely the biggest country star out there, he didn't really realize it because he was so busy at the time. And, I mean, it was the thing. He was playing everywhere. His music was going crazy. But it was just this process for him, and he was still working as hard as hard as he was, playing bigger places. But it's one of those things where I don't think they realize how fast it happens, and how once that happens, everybody listens to everything they say and pick it apart.
Right,
and it's out of your control.
Right.
Yeah, Chapel Roan been like struggling and everything for years, and was about to give up on the business, and then suddenly
she had the world in her hands.
Yeah, everyone's hanging on every word, and it was too much.
Yeah,
it was too much for her.
Yeah, and I mean, it would be too much for anybody. I mean, every time I would do interviews and I would ask people specific things, and sometimes they'd remember something, sometimes they couldn't. I'd think, well, did somebody ask me about this thing in my life? Could I remember it that well? And no, I couldn't.
No, I can't remember what I said yesterday. We can't remember what we say here sometimes.
Right.
So it's like,
Yeah, we forget who we've recommended.
Yeah. We're always saying, did I recommend this before?
But that's part of it. They don't, everybody's put under such a microscope. The people I feel bad for the people who become controversial and did not plan it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the provocateurs, the stirrers, it's like, okay, this is what you wanted, so this is what you FAFO,
right.
So you did it. But a lot of people just against their will are pulled into something.
Well, there were two acts that didn't get that big. But they became very controversial, and it was all calculated back in the 70s, and we talked about them before we started. The Plasmatics, which they tried to be as shocking as they could possibly be. They'd like chainsaw guitars and televisions on stage, and Wendy O. Williams, the lead singer of the group, all she covered herself with was like electrical tape.
Yeah.
And
I think she was an ex-stripper, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was an ex-stripper. And it was like this band, they did their best to look as crazy as they possibly could and shock everybody, and it worked.
Right.
They didn't get to be that big. And the other one was the Tubes, which were a lot more cerebral in their shock.
Right.
They had a point behind it. But, they went on stage and faked, shooting up, and they had all sorts of crazy stuff going on. And
they were a very subversive band.
Yeah, they were subversive. They were a little bit more like Frank Zappa, though, in that it was, there's a point to this. We know what we're doing.
Right.
I mean, Frank Zappa could be filthy, but he was also making a point. Right. And that's what they did.
To me, the controversy that I can't get past is when they're violent.
Yeah.
You know, and the whole Chris Brown Rihanna thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was like 2009.
Yeah.
And he beat her up in a limo or something like that. And immediately people loved him. Great singer, great dancer and everything. They were trying to come up with ways that Rihanna deserved that.
Yeah.
And it's like, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
It's like nobody...
Violence.
No woman should be beat up by a man. No elderly
person
no
should be
child
beat up
should
by
ever
another
be beat
person.
up by
Exactly.
anyone else, yeah.
But there was a double standard then for R&B artists. And I always thought it was infuriating at the time, as they would always try to excuse it.
Oh, I didn't hear all that.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like with Chris Brown and everything, it's like there was always...
They loved him.
Right.
You know? And she was, she was kind of spicy.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like I don't care what she did. I don't care what she said to him.
Right.
Same thing. And then, he's gone on, I don't know how many of these he's been like convicted of, but there have been like 4 or 5 assaults, even up to like last year or 2 years ago, that he's been at the root of and accused of other people.
But
it's like, get a better hero,
Yeah. But with rap and hip hop, especially early on, there was so much misogyny. And it was just, everybody just looked the other way. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things that always bothered me about it. And it's funny because, my daughter was a big rap hip hop fan. And there was, every time something would come on the radio, I can't remember what the song was, but this guy called, there was a rapper that said something about my top bitch. And I said, oh.
Yeah.
He called her his top bitch. He must really love her.
What'd she say to that?
Shut up, Dad. But
well, I mean, they've kind of turned the corner on
they
that,
have, and then you had women.
Around with,
you had female rappers come out.
Artists, you know, you needed women artists from their standpoint.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of those female rappers could definitely kick the male rappers' asses.
Yeah.
And good for them. But that was the thing, is raising a girl with that culture around. It's like you had to constantly be saying, this is an act. This is not normal.
Right.
And I mean, I was always bothered. I mean, and it goes through all rock and rap to some extent.
Remember, the rockers were banging all their underage groupies. So
exactly.
Hardly admirable work on their part. So.
Yeah, and then you had, people like Ted Nugent singing about it.
Yeah.
Or, there was Christine 16 by Kiss, and there was all sorts of, 16 seemed like to be the rock and roll age of, it's okay. Yeah. But.
Well.
Nobody's mentioned Rick James.
Yeah.
What did he do? It's like he was having like multiple days long sex sessions with prostitutes, and he wouldn't let them leave, and it was like.
It was him and his girlfriend who had this girl tied up.
Oh, yeah.
A woman tied up. And, of course, he was a terrible crack addict. Great musician, most sampled guy in, hip-hop. But, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking about unintended controversy and everything, plus intended... revisiting some things. The whole Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson thing...
Oh, I think that was planned. I
think it was planned. I also think, who cares? I mean, it was like so much.
Hit me to this. What happened?
You remember that?
Super Bowl? They were performing together, and he pulled her top off and exposed
her
nipples. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
that was like just
it was a wardrobe malfunction.
Well, that's what they call it. But she had like some
kind of a nipple ring or something.
Yeah, a nipple thing, like a star.
She kind of seems to be into
the
stuff like that. So that might have been something she would have worn anyway. But they both acted like, and she was standing there like she didn't realize the camera was on her, and he was just like, oh, what have I done? It's like, I didn't know if they were both in on it or one of them was in on it. I just didn't care, and it was just like so many people talking about it.
Yeah.
Another one,
it's like the biggest television event of the year.
Yeah,
right. That's why it got so much attention.
Yeah, but it was just the nipple.
Yeah,
it's like...
but
Americans are prudes.
Yeah.
Well, but it was also silly. It looked silly.
Right.
And, I thought it was crazy that it became so controversial.
Right.
By the same token, I just thought, give me a break. You did something to cause all this controversy.
And I bet their record sales went through the roof.
They probably did.
Yeah. Well, what would you have thought of? While we're talking about Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears. Britney Spears, I think, is one of those who's just an eternal victim. And whatever's wrong with her,
been taken advantage of over and over again.
She's been taken advantage of. I don't think she's controversial. I think she's just sad. I think it's a sad existence she's had, and Justin's been kind of a jerk to her. And then Kevin Federline came out with his book saying, "Oh, she had sex with me on our first date," and it's like, God,
so
who cares?
I know. It's like that's not happened before. It's like that's kind of common there, Kevin. But I was going to go over to the Sinead O'Connor thing.
Oh yeah, and
that
she was right.
Interesting. Yeah, that was interesting because she tore up a picture of the Pope.
Yeah, she tore it in two.
And it's like, okay, how controversial is that? And she was a devout Catholic herself. She was just attacking religion. She was attacking the Catholic Church's, benign or
protection of their pedophile priests.
Exactly. Yeah. They were covering for their pedophile priests.
Right.
And that's what. So that was her point. And she was temporarily banned, but forever, from SNL. And there was so much controversy about it. It's like she was quietly made a point, and that was it. So, and she had kind of a tragic life herself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she was.
But I think I was going to say, I think if that happened now, I don't think it would be such a big deal. But it depends. I think if it happened 10 years ago, it wouldn't be. But maybe now we've gone. The pendulum's always swinging.
Yeah.
Some things are okay, and then they're not, and then they are again. And
I don't know. I think she confounded the people that got offended by that. I think she already kind of confounded because here's this good-looking woman who shaves her head, and
yeah, that was hard for people to take.
Right. But I mean, I at the time I just thought, well, she's doing this for publicity, and then I realized I pretty quickly realized she is really trying to make a point. Yeah, she is sincere.
She was devout Catholic.
Yeah,
this was like an important cause to her, not just something she glommed on to make a show of. You know.
Well, I was just you mentioned Saturday Night Live, and I was thinking of another controversy that happened there, and it just seems so uncontroversial now, but it was when they had Elvis Costello and the Attractions on there, and they had cleared him to play the one song they were going to play, and he started it and stopped it and then played Radio, and it pissed everybody off.
Well, with that, I mean, I understand because they already have like their camera positions worked out. This is how it's going to be.
Oh, yeah.
So anytime somebody throws a wrench into it like that, it pisses off the people.
That just made me think of Ashley Simpson.
Oh, for God's sakes, that was pitiful.
Well, I felt bad for her because,
I didn't really feel bad. It just made me...
She didn't know that they were going to, I guess it was a tape intro. So they had done one song.
I don't know who this person is.
Oh, she was a pop star. And she did one song, and then she was doing the second song, and they had some tape queued up, and they started playing the first song again, and she just kind of stopped, and she just like a little dance and walked off stage, and they went to commercial. It was like, oops.
Because the whole thing was lip sync. I mean, everything about it. It was just recorded.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they used to do that on American Bandstand and things like that, but you knew it, and it's so funny you can watch.
Well, and it says Saturday Night Live.
You're right. But, if you look at videos from the 60s and early 70s, all these folks were lip syncing to their songs, and you can tell. I mean, there's one with the box tops where Alex Chilton is rolling his eyes. And,
well, what, Michelle Phillips eating a banana?
Yeah. And I mean, it pissed them all off.
Yeah.
And I respect that they wanted to play live.
Yeah.
Well, that's why you spend your time learning how to play live.
Exactly. But it's easier for the people doing the TV stuff just to play the tape.
That just doesn't seem, but starting and stopping a song doesn't seem so controversial. But he was like banned from SNL for like 15 years for that.
Right.
But it also got him a lot more publicity.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not everybody knew who Elvis Costello was before that.
Yeah, he was a relative unknown in America.
Yeah, that was his second album.
Well, what about the controversy of? And I remember as a kid watching Jane. Is it Jane Pauley? The newscaster on like 2020 or whatever, and she was talking about this new music over in England, punk music, and she showed the Sex Pistols, and they were spitting on each other, and they had pins through their ear, and safety pins, and at the time, I mean, it seemed so scary, and now you look at it and you're like,
whatever,
punk's great.
But see, this I think I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. It's the Sex Pistols were a manufactured band just like the Monkees were.
Totally.
I mean, it's Malcolm McLaren and Vivienne Westwood renting their sex clothes boutique, and they put together a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they wanted They wanted a song about submission,
Right.
and Johnny Rotten wrote a song about a submarine mission.
But like the Monkees, you had people who were really talented who did that. I mean, I love the Sex Pistols.
Me too.
But
The songs aren't. I mean, this.
well, I think they. I mean, I think Bodies
Yeah.
is a great song. I mean, God Save the Queen is, man. I mean,
Johnny Rotten's delivery is something special.
yeah, and I mean, even the fact. I mean, you did have people who could play their instruments in that band, and then they get Sid Vicious to play bass, and he can't play anything, but he had the look, and that's what they cared about.
Yeah.
Did you ever read that? Is it like 13 Days on the Road in America, and it's about the Sex Pistols' only tour of America?
No.
And like they had one person dedicated to be Sid Vicious's minder.
Yeah.
And he still snuck out and found cocaine and
But
heroin.
The whole point of that tour was to be even more controversial.
Oh yeah, they would get in fights on radio interviews.
Right, and they played in these places like, I mean, their big show was in Texas, where Johnny Rotten says, "Did you ever get the feeling you've been cheated?"
Yeah.
And I mean, that was the whole point, was to be controversial.
Right.
Yes.
And
I've
it worked.
been real skeptical pretty much of every controversy,
Yeah.
you know, and that there wasn't some premeditated thing behind it. And I don't think there are that many artists who are really so free thinking that they do just go out. And,
Well, and the whole premise of rock and roll is kind of outrageousness.
Yeah.
The point of it is to be outrageous.
Well, look
be
at what-
performative.
But look what happened with the Dixie Chicks, who are now the Chicks.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I disagreed with was they said it overseas rather than the United States. They said that we're embarrassed for our country. This was during the
Iraq War.
Yeah, the Iraq invasion. And they said we were embarrassed of our country.
Right.
Or, I can't remember the exact words. But then the people picked up on it, and country music started taking them off the air and trashing them and everything else. And then they were backpedaling, and it's like, okay, you said this, own up to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they didn't own up to it until they realized it wasn't helping them to just disavow what they said. Then they double back down. And it's like, you just should have done that in the beginning, and you should have said, maybe we shouldn't have said this when we were overseas. We should have said it in our country.
Right.
And, you know, you look back, and they were on the right side of history after all.
Yeah.
You know, the Sydney Sweeney thing from this year, I know she's not a singer, but that whole thing with the jeans and all of that.
Yeah.
And what I knew of her, she was kind of a little liberal, you know,
Right.
actress like many others. You know, I saw her in White Lotus and Immaculate.
And she's
all
good.
that. Yeah. But, you know, and then she was used for the American Eagle jean campaign. And someone there had the cool idea of using the word Jeans and maybe hinting that it might be Genes.
Right.
So she does this thing about her jeans, and people are like, she was promoting white nationalism or something like that. And I thought,
Yeah.
I kept waiting, though, for what she was going to say about it, and she never said anything at all. And I thought, there's probably, you can't win if you do.
No, I
Yeah.
think...
Because I thought, you know, I know she's not.
I think that
I
might have
can't
been the
imagine
smartest play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine that she's, you know, a Klans gal or anything like that. But, but what is she going to say, and who's going to believe her? It could be like the Snoop Dogg. Snoop immediately, you know, pivoted and made a song and everything. People were still trashing him.
Right.
And it's like, once you fixated on not liking someone, what can they say
can't
to
win.
change your mind?
But I mean, that is a situation, I think, where people were just looking so hard for something. I mean, when she said, "I've got good genes,"
Right.
it didn't mean I've got good genes because I'm white.
I'm a white blonde girl with blue eyes, you know.
It means I've got good genes because I'm beautiful.
Right, right.
And it didn't. I mean, if they got Rihanna or somebody like that,
It probably wouldn't have been a controversy.
nobody would have said a word. And it's just because, okay, let's look for something. Because, I mean,
Now, American Eagle did back down. They had all kinds of statements that they issued, and they disavowed. I mean, they
Right.
you know, like, oh, no, we never meant it that way, and blah, blah, blah. We were just trying to have a little fun. But she just never said anything
Yeah.
at all. And I was like, you got to say something. I thought, you know what? It's probably best not to.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I just think that was a misunderstanding.
Yeah. It was just like a little some junior ads person or junior marketing person, like, oh, what if we did that? What if we played jeans on jeans? And everybody thought, oh, that'd be funny. And then it just turned into like a polarizing thing.
Didn't quite think it through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was slightly aside on this as far as controversial things. There was, when we worked at the Sentinel, when Muhammad Ali, you remember what happened when Muhammad Ali died?
I don't think so.
Well, he died late. And there was, of course, the way it is. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to stop this.
Tie it up.
Let me tie it up. But when he died, the front page, of course, was already designed, and there was a baby gorilla that was born at the zoo.
No.
Yes.
No, that's just bad timing.
Oh, no.
It was, and because he would have been the front page, but the page was already made up, and he died like at 10 o'clock or something. And that you can't tear up the front page at 10 o'clock.
And it's already on the press, you have to do a second edition.
So it was the cover of the sports section, but they stripped it across the top of the paper.
Right.
And people thought that this was planned and were offended. And it's like, I was telling my friends, I work at the paper. I wasn't there that night, but I can tell you exactly how this happened.
Right. Yeah.
Or it may have been actually, I can't remember what year it was he died. I was definitely not there at the night it happened, but it was like, but people don't understand. This was an accident. And, I asked my kids, I just showed them the paper, and they didn't see anything wrong with it. And their friends didn't see anything wrong with it. I mean, their black friends didn't see anything wrong with it.
Right. But as soon as you plant that in someone's head.
Exactly. And do you want to put that out there when that was not intended at all?
Right. Well, that reminds me of, I worked late nights. There was a period there when I was designing page one and stuff like that. And there's so much paranoia right before press time. And everybody's looking over the proofs like, oh my God, there may be something here that's going to get us in trouble and we're not seeing it. And there was one editor, she would always say, do you think anybody could misread this headline to say, something sexual or something violent or whatever? And, I'd say, well, if you dumb your paper down for the dumbest reader out there, then there's probably someone who's stupid enough to think that. But you have to decide, do you want to do it for like the fairly intelligent people, or do you really want to dumb the whole paper down? And it was just a question we had to ask all the time, because you're just scared to death, and you're scared to get up the next day, and there's something wrong, and you have to go back into work after everyone's been talking about what wrong thing you did. So I wasn't there for Muhammad Ali though. So
that was one of those things. I mean, and I understand. It's not like anybody's dumb that thought that. It's there was it's a generational thing, And older people who have gotten that kind of crap, they could see that and see, oh, there's a connection.
Right.
But that wasn't the intention. And do you poison the minds of young people to think this was intentional?
Yeah, this is how you need to start seeing things.
Right. When it wasn't.
Nefarious, and there's a hidden agenda every time any story is put on the paper. Yeah,
and some things, hopefully, we are beyond, and the generations younger than us are well beyond them.
All right. Well, anyway, do we want to move on to...
I think we better. We've been doing this a long time.
What do you got?
Well, I want to recommend movie-wise, and it is on HBO right now. I don't know if it'll still be, the 1932 movie Freaks.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
I've seen that old movie.
Isn't that a great movie?
Yeah.
But it's...
One of us. Yeah.
It was extraordinarily controversial when it came out. Yeah. It was banned many, many places. And it is the story of a group of circus freaks, and the person who is the owner is, well, I don't want to tell too much about it, but there's two people who are normal, quote-unquote, people, and then the circus freaks. And the circus freaks, they're trying to screw them over, and it doesn't go like those folks planned. The freaks are definitely the hero. It's a great curio to see these people. There's a lot of these...
they actually cast, like, pinheads is what they're called. Then.
Pinheads were some of them. There's a fella who is a there's a total amputee.
Total amputee.
Or doesn't have... I don't know if he's an amputator or he was born without arms and legs.
Right.
But it is fascinating, and the people in it come off very human and very good. And it's a terrific film. It's by Todd Browning, directed by Todd Browning, the same guy who did Dracula and a lot of other great movies during that era. But yes,
obviously it's black and white.
It's black and white, 1932, and it is terrific. And it's on HBO right now and TCM.
Okay.
I'm going to recommend, what was I was thinking of? I was just going to recommend. Well, I love sailing movies, and I watched this one a while back. I'm probably going to have to search to find it, but it's called Maiden Voyage, and it's about, I think she's 16-year-old Dutch girl who has been sailing with her family all her life. Her family sailed around the world 2 or 3 times. She and her father sail together all the time, and she decides she wants to go sail around the world solo. And at 16 years old, and the government steps in and says, no, you can't do that. That's child neglect. That's a child abuse. And the father and the daughter go to court and argue their position, and in the end, they let her go. And she's not racing, she's island hopping, and she'll get to an island and stay there for, a couple of weeks and then move on to the next island. And she ends up sailing all the way around the world and coming back and deciding that she wants to keep going. And so she just keeps going.
Wow, okay.
And
what's the name of it again?
It's called Maiden Voyage.
Okay. Where did you see it?
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Maiden Voyage.
Just go to the search place.
Yeah.
The search place.
So there was a movie that we liked called Talk to Me from a couple of years ago, and it was an Australian movie. It was the debut for Danny and Michael Philippon, these twin direct filmmakers. And then this year they came back with one called Bring Her Back, which I didn't see in the theater. I saw some reviews that were kind of categorizing it as pretty grim and everything. And it is a grim movie. It's called Bring Her Back, and it stars Sally Hawkins from Happy Go Lucky, the English actress. Yeah. And it's also set in Australia, though. And she's a very, very eccentric woman, and she has this adopted boy with her who's very messed up. He's got all kinds of things wrong with him. And her daughter had died in a drowning. Meanwhile, you got these 2 half-brother sisters, 2 kids, 17-year-old Andy and his half-sister Piper, who's more like 13 or something like that. And she's got... she's not completely blind, but she can see shapes and light, and that's about all. And their father dies. So Sally Hawkins, Laura is her character's name, she wants to adopt the girl, but not the boy. And then the adoption agencies try to take both of them in. And the whole time, Sally Hawkins is this unbelievably sinister. Not only is she crazy, but she's very sinister. She does everything to try to undermine the boy and try to get him bounced. They say, well, if he acts up or something, you can get him thrown out. And it becomes so abusive. And she has this intent, kind of this supernatural thing that she's going to try to do, where she wants to bring her daughter back from the dead. Mm-hmm. And it's sad and it's crazy and there's like I say, it was a hard watch in many ways, but it's a really inventive and kind of fascinating story at the same time.
Where do you see it?
I saw it on HBO.
Yeah.
It was out in the theaters, and I didn't make it to the theaters. And it seemed like it was, like I say, I wasn't in the mood to see a grim movie when that movie was out. So I had to wait for it and all right, bring it on. And it was grim, but there's good performances. The teenage boy is played by Billy Barrett. He's a really good actor. And Sally Hawkins is just great because she's half, just mean, sinister person, but she's also just half crazy, and you kind of feel sorry for her.
Huh, okay.
Anyway, that's Bring Her Back. It's the same twin filmmakers from Talk to Me.
That's on my list. I've seen it on there, and it's okay, it's October. Right now, as we're doing this, it's October. So I'm all about it.
I think this is actually November 15th, maybe, something
is
like
it?
that.
Okay.
People are getting it. But anyway, we'll pretend. Okay, so you got a music?
Yeah, I want to recommend a brand new album by Mick Harrison and the High Score, Peach Blossom Youth. And Mick Harrison was the lead singer-songwriter of the band The V-Roys, which is a band that started here in Knoxville and became one of the most popular bands that, as far as Knoxvillians go, they didn't make it. I mean, they got an international audience. They were on Warner Brothers Records for just a second. And Steve Earle signed them to what was his label at the time, E Squared. He and Ray Kennedy ran it. But Mick is a great singer-songwriter and a High Score, great band. And this album is produced by Eric Ambel, who played with Joan Jett and all sorts of different people through the years. And he's a really good producer. So it sounds great. The songs are good. It's Americana is probably what you would put it under, but it's got a real rock and roll sensibility. And the title, which is a strange title, and full disclosure, I did the bio for him, but Peach Blossom Youth refers to the Battle of Shiloh, which is referenced in the last song on the album, where all these people died at the Battle of Shiloh, and that night there was a frost, and there were peach trees all over, and the blossoms fell and covered the bodies with peach blossoms. And that was part of what Mick was coming up with in this song, was the irony of this beauty in this middle of this carnage. So anyway, it's a good. All his albums have been good, but this one is particularly good.
All right.
Well, I want to recommend an album. It's one of my favorite bands. This is the band 10cc from England, and this is a prototype of 10cc. It was all 4 members, but it's called Hot Legs.
Yep.
And they had one hit song called Neanderthal Man, which is kind of a stomping, simple kind of song. Sing-along kind of song, and the rest of the album is nothing like that. These guys are all just really great songwriters, and it comes from a whole bunch of different styles. It's from 1971, and it's just called Hot Legs.
All right.
Good stuff.
Yep.
All right, so I have our friend Chrissy Hind has a new one called Duet Special.
Cool.
And she's teamed up. I think she consulted to find people that I would love her to record with and people you would love to record. So for my side, for both of us, she and Katie Lang do Me and Mrs. Jones.
Oh, that's a good one.
The old Billy Paul song. And then she did, let's see, let me just scan. She's teamed up with Lucinda Williams, so that's definitely a Wayne Bledsoe
Oh,
special.
yeah. I love Lucinda.
On the Rolling Stones song Sway.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yeah, and Lucinda's got that just tatter. It's like a slow rocker. The whole album is fairly sedate, you know, and it's good. I mean, Chrissy Hines 74. A lot of these other performers are near her age or around that age. Then she's got Dave Gahan of Depeche Mode for me. They do Dolphins, the Tim Buckley song from '67. And Dave Gahan sounds great. He's got a smooth, bitter kind of surreal ballad there, and Chrissy Hine just matches up with all of these people.
Wow.
She's with Rufus Wainwright
There you go.
Always on My Mind, the Willie Nelson song.
Huh.
Rufus isn't my favorite singer, but I know you like him, and he's got that swoon and everything going, and so that's good. Cat Power is on here, First of the Gang to Die, which is an old Morrissey song. Okay. I was going to talk about Morrissey being controversial and forgot all about it.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to bring him up again.
But anyway, enough of him. Let's see. Brandon Flowers of the Killers. He's the youngest person on here. He's 44, and they did "I'm Not in Love," the 10cc song. so that it's like everything just comes together. She did the Beatles' "It's Only Love" with Julian Lennon. So they have a duet. And I'm not crazy about Julian Lennon's voice, but she just elevates every song that Chrissy Hine is on. She's from the Pretenders. Debbie Harry's on here, age 80.
Oh,
Debbie
cool.
Harry singing on "Try to Sleep."
She cannot be 80.
Yes, Debbie Harry is 80.
Unbelievable.
I know. And they do "Try to Sleep," which is a song by the Minnesota band Low, which I thought was an interesting choice. It's an inspired song, so it's got a lullaby feel, and of course, especially with Debbie Harry, the real weathered vocals and everything. And the guy from Low, Alan Sparhawk, he is on Low broke up. Well, Low ended because his wife in the band died.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
A couple of years ago, so he's been trying to get back on. So Chrissy brings him in. Chrissy Hine brings him in for "County Line," which is a 2011 Cass McCombs song.
Huh.
I didn't know that one, but his voice is just amazing, and I just know his backstory and losing his wife and everything. Chrissy Hine brings him back, and it's just this woozy. One of my favorite "County Line." Shirley Manson of Garbage.
Right.
She shows up for "Love Letters," the old Elvis Presley song, and I think other people may have done that too. It's got steel guitar. It's like this waltzing song. And the last one on here, "You're My Soul and Inspiration" with Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys. And it's "You're My Soul and Inspiration" by the Righteous Brothers. the whole album is very kind of subliminal, and it's sedate. It's not very raucous.
Yeah.
Lucinda brings a little raucousness to it, and every now and then a guitar will kick up. But it's just very cool to hear all these performers together. It's well made, and she's also got a song with Mark Langian, who died a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I guess it was recorded already.
Yeah.
And that was "Can't Help Falling in Love," the Elvis Presley song.
Anyway,
it's called Duet Special by Chrissie Hynde. It came out October 17th, 2025, so it's still a new album.
I'll be ordering that one.
All right. Okay, so we're done here. And if you got any questions for us, if you got any ideas for us, any feedback for us, you can email us at howweheardit@gmail.com. And we'll swing back around. I know we're getting close to Thanksgiving. I think we got another week to go. If I've timed it wrong, then happy Thanksgiving in advance. And we'll be back. Thank you.
You've been listening to How We Heard It with Chuck Campbell and Wayne Bledsoe, a podcast about music, movies, art, culture, whatever it is that's on their mind. How We Heard It was recorded at the Arbor Studio in Knoxville, Tennessee by me, John Baker. How We Heard It is a Cozy Planet production. If listening to this podcast has given you a burning sensation, then we recommend you sit in a hot tub until your symptoms fade away. If you'd like to reach out to Chuck or Wayne or even me, you can send an email to howweheardit@gmail.com. So thank you for listening, and come on back and we'll have another episode for you next week.